Kai'Sa and Udyr being the prime first picks, but TT instead gonna go for the Renekton with the Jace Band. We still need to remember that Gnar is open, so a very easy answer if Zoom wants to opt into it.
Yeah, Zoom played plenty of Gnar, so he's already got 3 games on that. But also Gragas, it's being hovered right now. We've seen it outside of the top lane, but generally speaking, it is that top lane pick, and it's been picked a lot of the time into Renekton, so not too surprised to see that. And then, especially with Kanavi on your roster, it feels like a jungle pick could be the answer.
And the thing is, we've seen both LvMao and Zoom play at this split. If I was JDG now, I'm still expecting that Udyr pick to come out. Again, we're on 11.3. He did take a very small nerf towards the aura damage on his Phoenix stance, but we've still been seeing it first picked on blue and first rotation red side almost every game.
I mean, let's not lie here. The Phoenix stance aura damage is not the reason that Udyr is strong right now. Like, I'm not sure that nerf is really going to tickle him all too much. It's going to be the Rell locked in regardless, so LvMao going back to what has been working so far for him. We've seen him on that Rell getting out of the lane. Over on the side of TT, though, potentially looking towards a support pickup themselves. This would be bold. Okay, they don't go for the bot. I got baited. It's the Udyr.
I do want to say I'm pretty surprised that JDG went for the Rell there, though I do believe Rell is the clear S tier support. We see your first picked on first rotation red side all the time. You've already shown your hand at where your Gragas is most likely going to go, right? We have Kanavi in the jungle. This isn't Kai'Sa, so you do expect that to go into the hands of Zoom. And sure, you know what you're going up against, but you're denying mystery that TT had to wonder about, hey, where's this Gragas going to go? And with the Udyr and Alistar now locked in, I think TT have a very standard first 3 picks. You always see Rell traded for things like the Alistar, Thresh, or Leona. Alistar, a pretty decent answer, and Rell being able to cancel out that crash down with your headbutt and pulverize. So nice all-in options coming out for TT so far.
What do you make of this Graves? We've been seeing a ton of Graves still. Look at the win rate, 27%. But we still see it picked all the time in the LPL. Like, is this just a bait pick?
I do think it's a bit of comfort. It obviously rises a bit in the sense that since all the other junglers were nerfed a bit, right? Pantheon was pretty much killed in the jungle. Olaf taking down a peg, Udyr taking down a very, very slight peg. It's like, okay, you're giving more breathing room for the Graves to come in. Still an extremely good early jungle clear. And I think it's Kanavi's most comfortable champion. It's still his most played this split by far and was probably his best champion in 2020 as well.
All right, well, as we look towards the second round of bans, we've got 2 AD carry bans straight off of the bat here from both sides. When we look towards JDG, they've got a blind pick coming up. Are you looking towards an AD carry role here, or are you looking towards the mid laners?
With how pinched the mid lane pool is, if you wanted to go onto something like an Orianna, I do think that is the safest blind pick mid champion to come out. But knowing JDG, for the fact that they have just been continuously going towards the Jhin and the Varus, maybe you just pick up a Jhin here. They don't have the most durable front line, and you will be able to gain prio through that bottom half of the map.
Yep, the Jhin open and available. It's been something that Loken's been more than happy to play in recent series. Also, actually, yeah, Ezreal has made it through the draft so far. Ezreal rising in priority. There's a new lethality build where you go Duskblade with the Essence Reaver. It's feeling pretty good. And we've seen Loken play a ton of Ezreal over the course of last year. So definitely a comfort pick for him as well. And a little bit of a different style from what we've seen in the last couple of series.
The thing I like about it is that Ezreal is very good against champions like Udyr and Renekton, which should have a hard time of getting on top of him, especially with the amount of zone control coming out with Rell and Gragas right alongside him. When it comes to TT spot lane, they typically pick very aggressive champions. So when they were highlighting the Kalista, I kind of thought that they would go for it, but instead going to a very traditional Ezreal counter, obviously having the spell shield for the Mystic Shot. You can just shove him in continuously, always have prio. And then it goes really well with the champions TT have picked up so far, because this comp just wants to run straight at JDG.
Yep, I love it. I can't wait to see it. This is exactly what I wanted out of TT. Just bring me the fights, bring me the action. You've got so many animals on this squad, you might as well open up a zoo, but they all want to just run at JDG. And you mentioned the Orianna before for Yagao, another control mage for that mid lane. With the Azir, with the Twisted Fate, with the Zoe band away already, it makes a lot of sense to just go for something a little bit safe in that mid lane. The Orianna will be locked in. Also, fantastic combination with the Rell. Rell exceptionally good at setting up for Orianna Shockwave.
And I really like what we've gotten out of both comps so far. They have very clear identities of how they're going to play team fights, right? TT just want to run all in, go forward, be the aggressors. They very clearly indexed into early game aggression with the Syndra in the Renekton. So we expect TT to be the ones looking for proactive plays early on to get a gold advantage. For JDG, it's more about the scaling. We have the Ezreal and the Orianna, and it's a lot more about kiting back, peeling, and they have everything to do so. Gragas and Rell, great at peeling for their carries. You already highlighted how Rell and Gragas as well can set up for the Shockwave, and then Loken in a prime position to take over this game on the Ezreal if he plays well.
And interestingly, unless they change it at the last second, Samdi was hovering on a teleport on the Sivir, so we could have a triple teleport composition coming out from TT, which certainly could add to the chaos, certainly adds to being able to reactively join fights across the map, but also being able to control your waves exceptionally well. With this Sivir that you can instantly wave clear anyway, as well as having a TP, it can really help in the early game to make sure that you don't fall behind on tempo.
Yeah, I think it'll open up a lot of really creative map plays with a combination of Sivir ultimate plus all those teleports. It's going to be a lot about playing for structures more than neutral objectives, right? Getting off good bases, getting to the opposite side of the map first, and starting to break open the map very quickly, which is exactly what their comp wants to do, so I like it.
Well, when we look across the board, we've got an exciting matchup for ourselves to start the day as we head into JDG versus TT, Thunder Talk Gaming. And I feel like this is an important matchup here for JDG, where they need to continue this win streak. They're on a 3-win streak right now in series. They beat Rogue Warriors, WE, Suning. Some big names in there, especially WE. That was a significant win for them. They need to keep this momentum going. Right now, they're in 5th place in the standings. And I feel like they are one of the maybe most underestimated top teams that we have right now, right? They are in the top 5. They are in the list of top teams in the LPL, but they don't feel like one of the teams in the conversation for winning playoffs, maybe even for making semifinals. So getting wins like this, they need to be coming in feeling confident, feeling good, and just taking easy wins against a team like TT.
That's the thing, is when I watch JDG's recent series, their win over Suning, their win over WE, they are benefiting a lot off of enemy mistakes. We saw up against Suning, I think it was game 2, where Bin's on the GP just constantly overextending when all of his teammates are showing on midwave, giving free, as we get a replay in the bottom of our screens. LvMao jumping into the enemy team, having to flash out immediately, and still dies.
All right. Well, I guess that happened.
Hey,
LvMao,
we promised the shenanigans.
Yeah, I don't really get why LvMao's kind of solo invading there, but hey. TT, they predicted it. They read it. They stacked in their own jungle, and they punish it. So nicely done by TT. Great advantage for them to start off.
Definitely, they lost the flash on Udyr, but I don't think it means too much early on. You have set up in all 3 lanes as well, so Udyr shouldn't need to take advantage of that if his laners play well. We see on our screens, right, Twyla landing a scatter of the week. If he does that, Xiaopeng's not going to need flash to come in, get a flash from Yagao, or force a kill.
Yeah, and also, like, let's be honest, if you're playing Udyr and you flash, but you get the first blood of the game, like, you're going to take that trade. I'm going to take that trade every single day of the week. I would say my flash is worth 400 gold. So I think Xiaopeng's going to be happy with that one. And let's just remember that we're setting up Xiaopeng as the catalyst of all of the action that we get to see from TT. When you look at Xiaopeng statistics, he has the 2nd lowest CS per minute in the league for junglers at 5.7. And that's because this guy doesn't want to farm. This guy doesn't want to stay in the jungle. He wants to be in the lanes. He wants to cause chaos and fight the enemy. And that's the kind of jungler that I like to see.
There's one thing I really love about Xiaopeng is he's one of the best junglers in the league at tracking the enemy jungler, in my opinion. Even when they have no info on where the enemy jungler should be, you watch the minimap, there are always pings coming out on where they are, and he's always reacting appropriately. What's great for Xiaopeng this game is you look at the minimap now, and all 3 of his lanes are winning, so Xiaopeng should have a lot of options, and we already hit on how he is set up in all 3 lanes if they want to look for aggressive plays. And heck, they're going for it now. He ignores the top scuttle, he's running straight down bot.
Hey, and Twyla's there like, hey man, I'll bring it right to you. Room service. The scuttle is going mental. What was that? This Scuttle just dashing back and forth, didn't know what to do. Kanavi gets it though, and in comes JDG for the fight. TP's coming through as well. Xiaopeng jumps into the backline alongside Teen, but they're 2v5 right now and taken down. Teen, the first one to go down as Kanavi barely gets out with his life and brings the shotgun to the bear man. Chelizi will answer with one of his own, and it makes it 2-2 on the scoreboard.
And I love that we're at 4 minutes and we're already getting these aggressive river plays. You actually see this very frequently with Udyr, where he'll clear towards one side of the map, you know, do the reverse of what the enemy jungler is doing, but you know you should be a level up because of how much faster you clear. You'll run towards the opposite side of the map and try to elect into taking the fight. The one thing for JDG was that it looked like the wave was bouncing back into TT, so Loken and LvMao were able to zone out Sam D and Teen a bit, and it led to that winning skirmish for JDG.
Yeah, really nicely done. And I love that JDG are matching here, because this is the kind of play that some teams would opt out of, but JDG, they're willing to commit all 5 members to getting this Scuttlecrab fight.
Yeah, and we see that they're very easily able to turn onto Twyla with their bot lane moving first. Teen trying to aggressively answer and gets taken down immediately. So there are a lot of trade kills going back and forth. Luckily, we do see TT being able to pull one out on the backside with where Zoom ended up TPing in. And now at least they get a bit of gold onto their Renekton as well. If they can try and push that advantage through topside, maybe break down the top lane turret and continuously rotate Chelizi around the map to set up 4- and 5-man plays in mid and bot.
Really important as well that Chelizi was able to get the kill on Zoom towards the end of that fight, because Zoom grabbed one of those early kills, so it would have become a little bit more difficult for that Renekton up against the Gragas if he'd not been able to get the return kill. But when we look at the map state here, complete chaos for the first Scuttle, but Xiaopeng does manage to grab the second Scuttle for himself. And once again, our eyes have to follow this Udyr on where he goes next, because the whole top half is cleared. He's got to get down on this bottom half of the map, and Dragon is available.
Oh, and we see him going for that right now. I do expect him to just run straight bot. I feel like they should know that Kanavi's looking for this game.
No. Yeah, Sam D and Teen pushing up quite heavily, but there's no range on LvMao to close the gap and force the engage. So Sam D and Teen will be fine on this one.
I like the confidence coming out from TT in that situation. Their wave was pushing into JDG, so I think the gank coming out from Kanavi could have been expected pretty easily. I thought Xiaopeng would probably want to shadow in that situation, but instead they're going to look for a bit of a cheekier play, Munchables.
This is cheeky indeed, the perfect word for the situation. Xiaopeng has decided to leave. I am very disappointed. I think LvMao knew something was up there as he goes for the crash down into the middle wave, into the middle brush, sorry. And I think they're just going to have to back away. Xiaopeng has now been spotted. Drake is up on the map, but it's going to be difficult to just blindly start because they know Kanavi's probably still in the area, and he's now sneaking into that bottom lane looking for the 2v3, and they're going to be able to find it as well. Teen engaged upon. While we look at the top side, there's also a gank in the mid lane, and in a split second, the entire map explodes.
And we obviously didn't see what happened in mid lane, but you pointed it out, Munchables. JDG knew where he was. They saw him walking towards the mid lane. Yagao has no flash up. We can't see that Xiaopeng burned his flash, but I'm just kind of wondering how Yagao got caught off guard by that play. 1-for-1 overall. We are going to see JDG get Dragon, and it looks like Xiaopeng's going to trade for topside jungle camps, which I like a lot, especially if TT can defend their bottom side camps.
Yeah, it's going to be a big pickup here, especially with Yagao being taken down there. It's a good opportunity for Xiaopeng to get in that top side of the jungle. But first Drake taken by JDG, and ultimately the fight in that bottom side going their way as well. So this very much feels like a mind game battle between the two junglers. I mean, stun comes through, he runs, he stuns, and it's a job done when Twyla hits the skill button and one-shots the enemy mid laner. Now Xiaopeng moving up top, though. I don't think they can commit to a dive here.
They definitely can't, but all those camps did get taken away. He's getting off the reset. We can see in his bottom side jungle, he didn't lose any of his camps, so he will be able to pick everything up. Maybe he's going to head towards the top side, and we might see some shenanigans with Kanavi there as well. But actually, we see LvMao shadowing around the mid lane.
We could have more action coming our way. So far, we're not quite at a kill a minute, so I'm hoping that they speed up the pace a little bit here. I saw TT as the new Rogue Warriors, so we've got to see some action. Spotting out on LvMao and Kanavi, that should deter the play. But you can see Sam D and Teen actually moving up in the river right now, maybe looking to make a play themselves towards this mid lane.
Yeah, Herald is up. We're now seeing that on our screen. So they have prio for the fact that LvMao did roam off his base, timing towards the mid lane. They push that in. They're all going to hover around there. JDG aren't able to answer, so they're just going to put more gold onto Loken and just try to weather the storm. Going back a little bit, I really like the diligence coming out from TT during that mid lane play where Twyla backs off, he waits to link up with Xiaopeng, and he drops that ward. That's the kind of discipline you don't really expect to see out of a bottom tier team.
And this is the thing. This doesn't feel like just the kind of clown fiesta chaos that I was maybe expecting coming into this one. This actually feels like a pretty respectful macro game. Obviously, we had TPs over a Scuttle Crab, which is, you know, that's a particularly LPL style of gameplay. But since that point, it's been very much about reading the jungler on either side. Both of these junglers playing opposite sides of the map to each other and trying to find windows of opportunity.
I feel like TT have been pretty respectable in the early game in all their series, and it's why they're now known as the throw team, right? Because they're able to have these great early games. They really channel that 2020 Rogue Warrior spirit once it hits the mid game mark. So I still feel like we might see the fiesta later on.
Okay, well, I'm ready. And you know what? JDG, as much as last year we talked about them being a smart team, they're no strangers to the fiesta. When you think about it last year, I love that screenshot that we got to see of LvMao in the mic check video where it was basically just like, we'd been talking them up all year as this super smart team in the LPL. And then the mic check comes out and LvMao's just there like, come on guys, can we just fight? I'm really bored. And I feel like that really represents how JDG often play towards the mid and late game.
And it really shows in their aggression and their decisiveness in that mid game, right? Because once they start getting the opportunity to use some other lane pros to move around the map, as I'm going to slow down, nothing happens. But yeah, as soon as they're able to get some of their own lane prios, you know, maybe have some good base timings, like right now we see LvMao roaming towards the mid lane, it's when we'll see them go in the enemy jungle, get the deep vision, back off, push out their waves, and then start making those really bloodthirsty plays that were shown in that mic check.
Exactly. Being able to follow up on the picks and just snowball out of control has kind of been the name of the game for JDG. But TT, I feel like when we're trying to profile what happens in the late game, there's not as clear of an identity for TT. They're very much a team that, in the late game, this is the problem. They keep on throwing in the late game, which generally means you're not necessarily making the right moves. That's nice from Xiaopeng, managing to grab that ward before it goes down, and now dropping the Herald. Teen is here as well. Zoom is in a whole heap of trouble. That's a nice explosive cascade. Flashes from the Pulverize. You know what, Zoom? You can take a bow, good sir, because that was beautiful.
Yep, we can always expect excellence coming out from Zoom, living that high society life as we remember, but still, TT going to get a ton of damage down on this topside turret. I like the respect that we see Sam D paying in the bot lane as well. This will be first brick gold for them. And they're also going to come out with a tempo lead because they are getting off their bases first.
Yeah, and, you know, Zoom loses out in this situation, but for anyone that's not as versed in League of Legends, like, in that situation, best case is that Zoom doesn't die. The tower is definitely going to go down. You can see JDG are trading it on the bottom side of the map, so getting out without losing a kill there that's a win for JDG ultimately. And you can see gold on the map right now, pretty much dead even. We're even in towers, we're even in kills, but Drake is coming up, Mr. Lyric. It's one for JDG so far, and they're going to start off a second, but there's TPs being challenged.
And we know how this is going to go. TT want to run forward. It's all about if JDG can kite them back with the zone control.
Oh, Chelizi flashes into the middle of everyone. This is where Renekton wants to be, but he's burnt down and taken out of the fight. Teen goes down as well, and Xiaopeng just wants to grab the Drake before the fight is over. He's managed to get the smite, and now Twyla being chased on through. Flashes out to safety. Can he get the slows? Good scat of the week, and Twyla will get out with his life. They've managed to snag the Drake for themselves.
Yeah, they were able to do that, but still, I think that fight is going to be a precursor for how a lot of this game will go. If TT just runs straight forward at JDG, it gives them the time to use all their tools. You can just see Yagao hit a very easy shockwave chained with all the combos coming out from Ezreal with his Arcane Barrage. Rell just standing in the front pops his ultimate as well, and you're going to get more kills than you lose. For TT, it's going to be up to if they are able to either find flanks or maybe Chelizi be able to flash into the backline. Here, he goes for it, but isn't able to actually connect with anyone. So we do see the Shockwave chained with Arcane Barrage in the Rell ultimate, as we talked about. They pick up more kills, and they do walk away, I think, happy, even if they are the ones who lost to Drake.
Yeah, ultimately, I think that... I think both teams are going to walk away fairly happy with that one. I think TT picking up the pieces by getting the Drake. If they hadn't got the Drake, that would have been pure disaster for them. But I do quickly want to look at the scoreboard here before we move into the next couple of skirmishes, because it feels like the game pace is starting to pick up a little bit here. I want to look at Loken. We highlighted him as one of the players to be watching coming into this series. On this Ezreal, kind of fits that profile of one of these more long-range AD carries, but you can see already 2 items in his pocket. As he moves towards a Serrated Dirk, towards a Duskblade next, he's going to really start hitting like a freight train. And look how much gold he's been given by these turret plates as well. An extra 720 gold. He's going to be way ahead of Sam D at this point.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about these builds because we see both AD carries going for Essence Reaver. And a lot of people might be confused coming into season 11 while we're seeing this item so predominantly on a lot of people who do build Sheen. It does feel like the premier Sheen item right now, in my opinion. It's cheaper than things like Triforce and Divine Sunder. You get more AD out of it. Obviously, a lot of the champions who are building it also utilize the crit, so you get the Spellblade active as well for the early game and the laning phase like you want. So overall, really good purchase on a lot of these champions.
And importantly, you get mana back, right? You get the refunds on some of your abilities. Loken jumps over the wall. He's fine. Does cost his real flash, though. That was not an arcane shift. That was a flash. So a little bit more vulnerable. Will still be this Ezreal, but this is not the blue build Ezreal, right? This is not the same tanky full kite Ezreal that we're used to seeing. This is a damage build. This is classic AD carry Ezreal. As we have 2 teams stacking up here for a Rift Herald fight. As we said, the game pace is starting to speed up. This is what I wanted to see. Herald down to 1,500. TT being forced away. Teen is behind JDG, but they've got a huge combo to the whole squad. Look at the CC. Look at the first, but they haven't finished any kills. And now Teen has arrived on the scene. TT flipped this one onto his head. Sam D still firing away on the backline, and Zoom trying to escape with his life, but I don't know if he can get out with this one. The Turbo Chemtech certainly going to help. Dashes away with the belly bop. As LvMao trying to do the same. Chelizi on the chase, looking for the stun. A Q would finish the job, and there it is. Chelizi with the solo kill to finish it off. TT are on top of this game.
And right there, it was just JDG, I feel like, mismanaging how much damage they thought that they'd be able to pull out. And this is why we want to see their comp kite back, because when they are the ones charging forward, we saw, like you highlighted, a great combo from Zoom and LvMao. They don't actually have the burst damage to really finish any key targets. And it gives time for then TT to just engage onto the backline of JDG.
And they now grab themselves a mid turret on the side of TT as well. So JDG, a little bit of a botched engage on... Well, actually, no. It was a good engage. It was just not enough follow-up to finish the job.
And they go in, and like the follow-up is kind of there, right? All the damage comes out, but they just don't have the burst damage yet to take down these members. Teen is able to come into the backline, and TT's composition is way more potent right now in terms of damage, and especially when the fight gets a bit more chaotic and separated like this, where champions like Renekton and Syndra really thrive.
And, you know, that was a hardcore fight win for JDG if that shockwave hits. But the counter synergy between the Gragas and the Orianna there, where you got the Magnet Storm, pulls everyone in, Zoom ults just a little bit too early, blasts everyone away as Yagao's ulting, and so we get a big old fat sombrero off to the side of the fight. You know, when I was casting it in live, in real time, I was like, I feel like I missed the shockwave. I don't know where that was. And any time you feel like you missed the shockwave, probably means it wasn't a good shockwave.
To be devil's advocate, even though if he hit it, I think they would have at least gotten some more kills. I think that the fight would have still been competitive as Team goes.
Well, let's find out, because Zoom has been eradicated. 1-0. I don't even think this is going to be a fight. I think that is just an easy pick for TT.
Yeah, really nice find coming out from Teen, and Teen's been really aggressive this split since he's come in. He's always looking for the engages. The problem is they typically end up very coin flip for TT, where sometimes he just pulls the trigger a bit too fast and will get soloed out before his team can follow up. But other times, it's how TT do get ahead, like with this pick on Zoom.
So, we have TT with a lead. 2,000 up. They're on 2 Drakes now. Chelizi might be able to finish this turret or at least proxy a wave. This is looking pretty good for TT. But let's just set up what we've seen countless times from this squad across the course of the year. That even when they do get ahead, sometimes they're not really able to finish these games out. So what do we need to see them tighten up in this game to turn this lead into a win?
One thing I really want to see is them playing through 3 lanes, despite the fact that they don't really have a 1-3-1 comp. The fact that they are running triple TP means that they have a lot of different potential plays where they can bait the objective, force out a TP from JDG side, and then go back, put pressure on that side lane while still controlling an objective. So I want to see TT playing the map big to burn summoners from JDG and then looking for team fights after that.
I hope to see it also. Whether we see it or not, though, is down to that's down to the fates of the LPL. We'll have to wait and see. Twilight on the top side here. As Kanavi decides against trying to make the play, he's just going to head back to base. Let's recap where we're at with the junglers as well, because we were kind of watching our 2 junglers towards the start of the game. They were really the catalysts of the action. But you can see when it comes to items, Xiaopeng's starting to build a pretty significant lead for himself. He's already got 2 full items. He is real tanky. Whereas obviously for Kanavi, he's going to be building damage. Not opting for the Gale Force though, going for Shield Bow this game.
It is kind of surprising with the small nerf that Shield Bow did take in the recent patch. We have seen a lot of people just kind of stray away from that on champions who doesn't synergize perfectly with their kit. But in this case where TT are a very brawly comp that wants to get up close and personal, and you don't have a target that you really want to jump on and like assassinate, you want to be the team kiting back, I think it makes sense in context of this game.
Xiaopeng hovering on the top side here. There's nobody to assassinate. There's nobody to make the gank happen on. It was just in case somebody was there. But they found a gank elsewhere. Kanavi, not even in his jungle, just in the mid lane. And that's the power of Sivir, Udyr, Alistar. These guys that can just sprint across the map. And look at this. TT pulling the trigger as they kick off a 20-minute Baron here. We know that this is a team that have thrown at Baron before. They are on a Scuttlecrab. JDG know what's up. True Shot Barrage through across the team. It's a little bit too early though. Kanavi's not here. This should not be stolen. And now in with the fight. LvMao the target. He's got a shield from the crash down. They're going to be able to find a pick onto Teen. Baron goes down in favor of TT. 4v4 now as Zoom jumps into the fray. Xiaopeng going to try and answer on the backside of the map, but LvMao gets the heal. Scatter the Weak doesn't quite land. LvMao survives. Xiaopeng sprints away. JDG can't find it. It kills TT. They get away with the Baron.
The thing is, TT end out ahead with this play. But I am a bit confused why when they locked down LvMao, we didn't see Twyla or Samd just turn for, you know, a boomerang or 1Q from the Syndra and just burst him out immediately. And then JDG can't even threaten the zone. They can't really walk into you. We saw TT trying to do 2 things at once of like, hey, we're going to sacrifice or potentially sacrifice one of our members to burn Baron. And it is still that like inkling of, hey, this is a young team. They still don't do everything perfectly, but you're right, Munchables. They end out ahead. They have a Baron. They have a 3K gold lead. Things are looking promising.
TT have a big lead right now against JDG, and I'm real worried, Lyric. I'm real worried because we've seen them have big leads before. TT, I beg, please hold on to the lead. Do what you need to do. Get yourselves this win. Interestingly, when you look at Loken, he is not going for a mythic item this game. His 3rd item is going to be a Last Whisper item. This is a really... I mean, it's interesting how the mythic items have fallen in priority when it comes to AD carry builds, especially with Sivir and Ezreal. But let's just quickly talk about JDG before the next fight kicks off, because I've got a feeling in 40 seconds it's going to happen. What are they got to do here to be able to get themselves back in the game? Because we keep on talking about how JDG are not really playing to the caliber that we need them to.
For right now, it's going to be very hard for the fact that TT have the Baron, because what they should have done if TT didn't in that situation, I think, is you just give up a bit of side lane prio, you let Chelizi or Twyla push in, you group mid to make sure you get prio in lane, and you get on the objective first. Because we've seen TT be able to get on objectives first, which means that JDG have been the composition running into them. And again, we've highlighted many times that's not how they want to play out the game. They want to abuse the range advantage. They want long, extended fights because they do out DPS the side of TT. They don't outburst them. So if we get in and out a very quick fight, that's when TT excels.
All right, TT playing every lane like you prescribed for them, but JDG want to punish that fact as they engage on the bottom side of the map. Hex Flash from LvMao. Chelizi are quite happy to zone zoom on the top half. All they need to do is buy time. Twilight is making plays on the top side. He's taking towers, and now he's going to TP behind the play. But True Shot Barrage across the team. Can they survive long enough? First kill onto LvMao. In comes Twilight off to the side. Skill shots onto Zoom, who flashes away to the back line. It's a pick for TT. It's a dragon for TT. They got the top lane tier 2 on top of everything. TT, with the 5-head macro genius plays, are winning across the map.
And we love to see it when a team takes this triple TP, to see them utilize it correctly. And I even really like that fight, them like trying to bait out some of JDG's cooldowns first before they have Twilight TP and after taking down that turret. So far, TT having a really nice showing. They are now on soul point, so realistically, they should only have to get through one more team fight in 4.5 minutes. They do still have some scaling in their composition, like the Sivir coming out from SamD, but just by the design of the champions JDG has, the Ezreal and the Orianna, even with TT getting soul, if they can extend this game long enough, they'll still be in it. It won't mean enough for TT to just 100% win the game.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the gold lead, they are, what, 4,000 gold ahead at this point, which is a pretty sizable lead. But the important thing is how they use it next, right? And that Infernal Soul could be their ticket to glory in 4 minutes' time. But Baron will come up first. So JDG, they have a couple of opportunities yet to have more even 5v5s, and we saw the whispers of what could be for JDG, right? With the botched combo that they attempted around the Rift Herald fight earlier on. You land those ultimates onto multiple people, it's an instant fight win for JDG, but so far it's not happening.
No, and we've seen TT playing around it really well. I really like how Chelizi especially has been playing in these last 3 team fights. He's always finding ways to get on the back line. SamD's been on point with his ultimate to make sure he's able to get in there as well. And it's really nice to see Chelizi performing much better than he did in 2020.
It's beautiful to see from TT here. And I'm holding on against hope that they don't throw this one away. We've seen so many throws from TT this split. I'm praying that this is the one where they finally figured it out. They finally worked out what the issues were for them as a squad. Setting up around the Baron now. It's up in about a minute's time. JDG do have a control ward in the pit, so TT need to get on the scene and start to clear some of this vision. But they will be there first. Obviously, with this kind of gold lead, you're pretty much always going to have priority to be able to set up. And we talked about JDG looking for picks, but TT, they're very much looking to control this jungle and look for anyone that overextends. Look at Teen hiding behind the wall, but Kanavi, I think he spotted Xiaopeng on his sweeper there. And that should stop Xiaopeng finding anything. Maybe LvMao has found someone instead. Posturing aggressively. Zoom does have TP, as does Chelizi. Oh, they're toying with it. They're toying with it, Lyric, but we don't get to see a fight.
Yeah, but still, I still think the way TT's playing this out is 100% correct. You know, we might not be seeing the bloodshed that we want, but they're collecting waves in all 3 lanes. They're not losing any passive gold on the map, so they're controlling side waves really well. SamD knows his role in this composition. Just, you know, spam QW on the wave mid. They're going to be on the objective first, and the ball is going to be in the court of JDG in what they do. It's going to be about can LvMao find a really good setup this time for the shockwave, because now JDG do have more damage. They should have the burst to take out a member like Twilo or SamD if they can get on top of them.
Oh, but Lyric, look at that ward. The observers pointed it out a second ago. There is a blue ward behind the red buff of JDG. Chelizi has teleport available. What do we know about Renekton? If he can get a flank, he can win a fight. That is the perfect flank ward for the Baron that has just spawned onto the map.
Yeah, and TT are still going to take it really slow, so real quick we can talk a bit more about items as well, because we finally seen Loken pick up the Serelda's Grudge, so he's going to have a bit more slowing ability, and again, that ability to keep distance, which is really the phrase I feel like we just need to keep highlighting for JDG's composition. Keeping distance away from Yagao and Loken so they can put out all the DPS in an extended fight. So JDG are hitting their item breakpoints. This is still a winnable position for them, but I mean, 5k gold, if Chelizi gets that massive flank, TT will be able to close out a game.
Yeah. Yeah, only issue with the flank play is the ward is now timed out. So the dream is dead on the flank play. I think TT are looking towards Infernal Drake instead, looking towards that soul. Loken's just going to jump into the Baron pit by himself and try to stop the Baron. There is a control ward there, so TT know what's up. But honestly, if I'm TT, I'm happy to trade this for the Infernal Soul that's up in 20 seconds. Chelizi's on a tier 2 right now. Has TP as Xiaopeng just runs in. He's happy to go for this one. The TP finally being channeled by Chelizi. Zoom just trying to back away. The whole of JDG playing at a distance here. True Shot Barrage don't do a whole heap of anything across the team of TT. And we're just going to be playing on a knife's edge here. We're going to be playing at arm's length from one another as Kanavi steps into the pit once more, trying to clear vision, trying to control the area. The minions finally take that bot lane tier 2 that we were talking about before. Baron now being started. Another tower goes down in favor of TT as they went mid, and now they move back to the pit. Teen on the perfect flank. JDG, they're being surrounded. They're being DPS'd by the Baron, and now the Scatter the Weak into the pit. In goes Chelizi. Everyone flashes out. They managed to finish off Teen, but the Baron is going to reset in a second here. JDG find one pick, but they lose the opportunity on the Baron right now. Teen, or TT, sorry, and the rest of the squad managing to regroup as the recall comes on through. And I think we might just have the end of the fight. No, TP's being channeled. This is a long one, Lyric. We've got a big old fight on our hands. But look where Sam D is. He's just gone to start the Infernal Drake by himself. He's going to try and finish this one, but Zoom knows what's up. He knows what's happening right now. Kraken Slayer in the pocket of Sam D. He can win this 1v1 if he can block the CC, but Zoom stakes the Drake. Oh, it's such a crucial steal from Zoom. The stun comes through. Sam D gets one kill for himself as now LvMao has arrived just a little too late to the play. That's 2 picks for TT. Baron's still available as Yagao has been caught out by Chelizi as well. Blast Cone trying to get him to safety. But in they go, Xiaopeng with the flash, best lap. Slow comes down as well, but there's collateral damage from Kanavi. Chelizi trying to close the gap. Twilight is not able to get much damage done as Loken starting to chase this one through. True Shot Barrage only onto Teen. And these are the kind of scrappy fights that we're expecting. But the TP's come through from Sam D. The TP ADC as he goes on towards the inhib tower here. Kanavi clearing the wave. They'll manage to protect the tower for themselves.
I do want to say that was a really intense sequence of events. I think TT flopped it a bit at the end. I feel like they had the option of either you have Sam D TP towards the mid lane and maybe you immediately turn towards the Baron. It would be a bit weird because you don't have your jungler up, but you aren't doing Baron to force Baron, you're doing it for the turn. Or if you're going to make that play top, rotate the rest of your team top. We saw Sam D just TP in by himself, Teen roamed over, and the other two just pieced out. So TT not exactly 100% on the same page with that play, and it felt like it could have been a big win for TT despite losing the Drake, but in the end, JDG just buy more time, and it's off this play coming out from Zoom, just gets it with his W and then the auto coming out after it. He does get taken down right away, which is what you would expect. Now, LvMao left in a very awkward position. We know on the back end of this fight what Chelizi is doing onto Yagao. And the sad thing is that Teen isn't here yet, or they probably could have just tried to wipe JDG and look for an end, but again, sadly, his positioning isn't there. I think he was coming off of a base timing, so yeah, JDG are the big ones who benefit in the end.
Look, it may not be perfect play from the side of TT, but it's exciting play. I like it when teams are running around the map like this, trying to play all angles, and you know, Sam D kind of botched it a little bit. He botched it on the Drake and then he botched it on the TP.
It's
but
still 8k gold
ultimately, I like the effort that's going in there. I like the fact that he's up in gold right now. He's up in items right now. He's got that Kraken Slayer as well, which is a huge item spike for Sivir specifically. He's going to be shredding people. We talked about lethality. We're not seeing it today. Even with this Ezreal and Sivir, these are the 2 picks that have notoriously been going for these lethality builds. Neither of them going for the Duskblade here. Going for this front-to-back team fight style as Xiaopeng has found Kanavi, who wanted to get a minion wave, but he's not allowed. Or is he? Because the shockwave is here. True Shot Barrage is going to miss. LvMao not able to get into the fight, not able to follow up for his team. As TT just try and kite back through the jungle. The whole of JDG is here. Zoom is looking for a way in, but the explosive cast not quite enough. He jumps in with a belly bop and is just stunned immediately. JDG have to back away now. Cooldown's used, and they don't get anything from it.
And I want to provide a bit of context that, you know, TT are still definitely ahead. We can see that on how they're playing the map. We can see that in the the TPs and in the side lane like macro that they've been using. And people might be thinking, so why are the casters still giving JDG a chance when they're about 8k gold down? But it's from all these skirmishes you can see in terms of compositions and champions, how they scale when they're strong. JDG are still definitely in the fight. One team fight can totally put this in JDG's favor, even if TT are the ones still with a bit of control.
And part of it as well is that we've seen a lot of games from TT where they get ahead and it all goes a little bit pear-shaped. They've got that lead in a series that would be a massive upset if they could take the win. They have everything that they need to win out this game against JDG. But if there's any teams in the LPL that are tenacious, that will not say die, JDG is very much in that list. Xiaopeng looking to force the fight. Teen is here as well, trying to close the gap. True shot barrage onto Chelizi only. As Loken, you got to keep your eyes on him. He's going to be doing a lot of damage at this stage in the game. Keep your eyes looking for the Magnet Storm, for the Shockwave from Yagao. These are the big tools that can set JDG up for success.
Yeah, and like you said, it's with him out even going with a mythic item, and I'll be completely honest, I'm not quite sure why he's going out without the Duskblade. Again, it is getting him to other breakpoints which are more suited towards the front-to-back team fight. Obviously, Duskblade a lot more about bursting out squishy targets. For the side of SamD, Kraken Slayer is still a build some people go on Sivir and high Korean solo queue, so I don't think it's actually that weird, especially for the way their comp wants to play out. But these two AD carries are what it's going to be all about in this next fight.
Yeah, certainly this version of Sivir scales a lot better towards the late stages of the game, so feeling pretty good about being able to just focus down on Zoom's health bar and then work on the rest of the team afterwards. I love how Loken is basically just hitting the R button on cooldown at this point. This is just a harassability at this stage of the game, as we're just going full A-ramp. Forget the side lanes, guys. Here we go. Team fight time as everybody goes on in. LvMao on the back line is the rest of TT trying to close the gap. It's Loken to start the fight, but both AD carries grabbing kills for themselves. Now Teeen manages to get onto them, but Loken with a double kill, he's able to just free fire, and this is the Ezreal that we love to see in the LPL. More kills coming on through as Yagao gets it, and TT, it's all gone wrong again. Loken with the triple, and the game has been thrown.
This is why you kept talking about it, Munchables, because it was bound to happen. Xiaopeng's trying to keep the game alive and make something happen, but it feels like it might be a bit too late. Zoom is just ignoring him.
Oh god. How could it end like this? Xiaopeng, go get the Infernal Soul, guy. Like,
oh, Zoom might be dead.
I feel like that's your only option. He's looking for Zoom, but I don't think it's happening. The rest of the team is still here. JDG, they want to end the game. They've not got that long on the death timers. I don't think this is possible. Xiaopeng, I'm sure he could have just gone and taken the Infernal Soul there.
He could have, but maybe he was afraid that death timers wouldn't be long enough, but like you said, with only 10 seconds left up about, again, like 10 seconds ago, you feel like Xiaopeng might have been able to time that better. Now JDG going to be on soul point themselves, and we've now seen that, hey, their composition is at the point where the gold league doesn't really matter too much if they control that space well enough. If Loken is given the room to do this, as he was. He did have to burn a flash, though, but still, if he can kite out a lot of these engages from TT, JDG will win every time.
Oh god, Kelsey somewhere in the world is in absolute shambles. It's a disaster for TT. I mean, Teen, it was a good engage. It looked pretty good to start with, but JDG too good.
The thing I didn't like about the engage was the fact that both your team and JDG's team was so separated, so we see Teen engaging on the right while all of his carries are kind of on the left side and have to worry about the poke coming out from the Ezreal, so they can't walk forward. And we do see on the bottom left of our screen right now, we actually might get another team fight right after this replay.
I'm ready for it, mate. These are the kind of fights that Ezreal loves. Loken is the guy to watch in these skirmishes. But JDG, they're just going to start the Baron. They're quite happy to just go for this one. Look how fast they're able to burn through it. Xiaopeng could look for a steal here. 5,000 on the Baron. JDG going to pause DPS. Oh, no, they're not. They're just going to try and burst this one. It's stolen. Xiaopeng gets into the pit. LvMao should be the first casualty of the fight. The skill button pressed, and now True Shot Barrage across the squad. Loken still free fire, and keep your eyes on the Ezreal because he's tearing TT apart. Chelizi goes down. Twyla, the last man standing, is JDG. They might lose the Baron, but they don't care if they can get an ace. Good scatter the week from Twyla, but Yagao should be able to just chase him down here. Flash away. Twyla knows that he has to concede the fight. TP now in the mid lane, and JDG want to end this.
The scaling was just too much much for TT. Xiaopeng's steal didn't matter, Munchables, and the curse of TT's throws continues.
It's an absolute disaster here in the LPL. Twyla just getting belly bopped around as Zoom wants himself a solo kill, and Loken's happy to let it happen. Down go the towers. The base in absolute tatters as Teen is here, the last man standing to try and do anything. But he's just going to be eradicated. It's a win for JDG, and it's a heartbreaking, disastrous defeat for TT as the cameraman runs away from the scene of the disaster.
And it all goes back to what you were talking about when both teams are posturing around a Baron. Very good call by JDG to try to pull TT's attention away from the Dragon. But at that point, you're right. As TT maybe just go, hey, we give over the Baron, or even if they don't, even if they want to posture for that initial fight, because even though they have Sivir, I don't feel like their wave clear would be good enough against the siege potential that JDG has to weather that storm for too long. Posture at first, but then rotate your whole team over for that Drake. They'd only Sam D go for it, and again, there's no smite on either side. He does botch it himself a little bit, but it feels like TT's a team could have played that situation better.
Yeah, it's a rough one for TT. It feels like the late game shot calling once again just leaves a little bit of something to be desired. And once again, this early game looks great. The mid game looks pretty good. It's like the longer the game goes on, the worse it looks for TT. Whereas JDG, I feel like almost the opposite could be said. And we got to see exactly that across the course of this game. TT start out great, and then the longer it goes on, the more JDG start to manipulate the map and control it the way that they want.
And it goes back to both teams' identity. It's actually hilarious and kind of sad for TT that this is becoming such an identity for them. It does happen almost every series. Again, in their last game against Sir Adam, the exact same thing happened where TT is definitely going to win the series. They're by far ahead. They have Twyla on his famous Cassiopeia, and they just bait Baron too early, and they all get wiped, and then RA just suddenly wins out of nowhere. We've seen numerous times happen against V5 as well. Even though they did win that series, they did throw and almost give it back to V5. And for the side of JDG, it goes back to, hey, oh my god. Well,
look at the gold graph. Oh no. They JDG won with a gold deficit. It hurts my soul, Lyric.
You know, the funny thing is you made the point in game that, like, Kelsey's watching and she's probably, like, shook by this happening, but Kelsey probably watched expecting this result. You know, like, hey, you know, another day in the office, yeah. TT find the advantage, and then they just aren't able to push it through. The other sad part for TT, I think, is that they did show some pretty decent macro moves in this game, and we saw a lot of, like, small fundamental things that were good. Their flank wards were good, how they were getting vision together, when they were controlling all three lanes, all of it was there. But JDG's true identity of pick off the enemy team when they make mistakes is just so OP against these middle and lower tier teams.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Look at the damage from Loken as well. Like, this is just Ezreal in these kind of chaotic games. That game was like the perfect example of the kind of team fights that Ezreal just loves to be in. Nobody can really close the gap on you. You can just kite it out, and you can just play with this high damage version of the Ezreal build as well. Like, it just feels fantastic.
It was great to see, and again, we saw a bit of an evolution of the build, so that's always cool. And I even like that we got to see the traditional counter on the opposite side, even if it didn't win. I love that we're getting more diversity in picks in the LPL, because we've only had Ezreal 3 times before this, so this is only the 4th Ezreal pick. And Loken showing, hey, you know, we might be getting back to the point where Jackie loves picking this up again, and we're getting these AD carries who do just want to be able to 1v9 a game, and that was really fun when we had it last year.
And you know what? Even though the build is changed, I feel like Ezreal kind of has a better identity now, in that with Sherilda's Grudge being put into the game, you still have the slow on your Q, so you still have the ability to kite super well, but it feels like you still have the kind of Trinity Force build style damage that you used to have. Before it was like blue build Ezreal or Triforce Ezreal. It was like either high damage or high survivability and kiting. Whereas now it's kind of both. So Ezreal just feels like a stronger pick across the board if it does continue to perform. I don't know. I'm not the analyst here, but certainly my feelings on it. We're going to go to a quick break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with game 2 and see if TT can bring this run back for themselves and hopefully turn a good early game